Sorry, can you repeat it one more time? It's incredible what they've done here, and obviously feeling very comfortable off the bat.
She takes a moment before answering. A real pause. The kind that tells you this isn't just another routine presser question, it's something she's still processing. When she finally speaks, she asks for the question again, almost apologizing for needing that extra second to collect herself. The reporter brings up Wimbledon, not to dwell on the loss itself, but to understand something more interesting, how she managed to turn things around so fast afterward. That kind of resilience doesn't come naturally to most people, and the room wants to know her secret. Her answer is refreshingly simple. No secret formula, no dramatic reset. Just a week of low-key training at home, giving herself space to actually enjoy the process again instead of forcing it. From there, she headed to Canada for a short training block before the North American hardcourt swing, and something shifted. She felt genuinely excited to compete again. Hard courts have always suited her game, and playing on American soil gives her an extra layer of comfort most players don't get to feel abroad. She calls this stretch one of her favorite periods of the season, packed with matches she was proud of, proof that her bounce back wasn't luck, it was preparation meeting the right environment. Then the conversation shifts to something heavier, the reaction she got online after the final. She admits she doesn't usually pay much attention to social media chatter, but this time it was impossible to ignore. Message after message from strangers, all encouraging, all kind, and that caught her off guard. Part of her almost felt undeserving of it. There's a flicker of guilt in how she describes it, this sense that she wanted to give the crowd a better show, especially on a stage as big as a Grand Slam final. But instead of criticism, she got compassion. And that support did something for her that no coaching session could. It reminded her how far she'd actually come to even be standing on that court in the first place. She notes how rare it is to receive that much positivity online after a tough loss, and how much it meant to feel seen instead of judged. The discussion moves toward the current wave of American women thriving in tennis, and whether she had role models growing up who shaped who she's become. She's honest about it. There wasn't one singular figure she followed obsessively. Her drive came from somewhere internal, a genuine love for competing rather than chasing someone else's footsteps. Still, she doesn't shy away from naming the players who left a mark on her as a kid, legends whose game she studied and admired from a distance long before she ever shared a locker room with today's top competitors. When asked whether she recognizes just how fortunate she's been to grow up somewhere that actively supports girls in sports, she doesn't hesitate. She's aware of it, and increasingly so. She credits organizations within American tennis for continuing to expand access, camps, development programs, initiatives designed to pull more young girls into the sport early. Looking back at her own upbringing, she remembers benefiting from exactly that kind of infrastructure, and she doesn't take it for granted. Then the tone lightens completely. Someone brings up Frances Tiafoe, and her whole energy changes. She lights up talking about him. Calls him one of her favorite people on tour, someone who can lift her mood with a single text message. Beyond the jokes, though, she speaks with real admiration about his journey and everything he's overcome to get where he is. To her, he represents humility paired with ambition, someone who's achieved a lot but still shows up rooting for everyone else around him. Before wrapping, the conversation returns to something more technical, adjusting to different court speeds after a deep run at Wimbledon. She explains that switching between surfaces this fast isn't easy for anyone on tour, and she and other players spent real time in Canada talking through it, testing the pace, recalibrating their footwork and timing in just a few practice days. But hard courts are home turf for her, so the adjustment period is shorter than it might be for others. She notices this particular court is playing even quicker than what she experienced in Canada, with the ball bouncing higher than usual. Small variables that shift week to week, but ones she and her peers have learned to adapt to almost instinctively by now. Turning to the match itself, it lived up to expectations. A genuine battle where both competitors left everything on the court, especially during an extended third game that tested both players' composure. In the end, only one side could walk away with the win, and this time it belonged to Amanda, who deserves real credit for staying composed under pressure against a dangerous opponent. Beating a player of that caliber is never just physical, it's a mental battle too, compounded by a crowd that isn't necessarily on your side. Handling both the opponent and that outside noise is what separated the two players on this particular day. For her opponent, though, this adds to a frustrating stretch following an earlier disappointment at the DC Open. Missing out on quarterfinals, semifinals, and finals across recent events means she heads toward the US Open without the momentum a deep run in Montreal or Cincinnati could have provided. That absence of big matches under pressure could prove costly, especially with heavyweights like Iga, Elena, or Aryna waiting on the other side of the draw. This loss, painful as it is, might end up being the wake-up call she needs, a clear signal of exactly where her game has to grow before the pressure ramps up even further at a Grand Slam. There's also the question of doubles. As a wildcard entry, she's set to compete in mixed doubles too, which could quietly drain energy she'll need for her singles run. Many would argue prioritizing her individual Grand Slam campaign matters far more right now than a doubles appearance, and it's likely most fans watching would agree with that logic. Still, disappointment aside, she's built like a fighter, trained in an academy shaped by the same relentless mentality Rafael Nadal built his career on. That kind of foundation doesn't disappear after one tough loss. If anything, expect her to come back at the US Open with something to prove, and don't be shocked if she ends up going all the way.